To pray, there's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kiru's show here. Now, let us begin. Wherever we last left off, I introduced the idea of three Dekus. The body, the soul, and the ultraviolet power, which believes itself to be him. Now, let us pick up with the body. The body of Izuku Midoriya, which has been turned into the new Batman upon his death. He is currently in a straitjacket, in a prison cell, in the farthest reaches of the island that Ra's al Ghul can find. The amount of men guarding him is too many to count. Since if that boy knows everything Batman does, then he will escape. It does not matter. Midoriya basically just laying there, trying to gnaw on his own tongue. However, he's been restrained, and has something in his mouth to prevent him from doing so. As he's been doing this for the past couple of days, screaming and just begging for his memories, doing something odd. He just will not stop. This being where something finally happens. Something appears to Midoriya. And that something is Dr. Spectre. Now, Dr. Spectre would appear to Midoriya. Midoriya finally taking time to look up, as the noise finally stops in his cell. People looking inside and seeing that he is gone, completely vanished. Midoriya confused, as he's basically just looking up while restrained at Dr. Spectre, unsure of who this is or even what this is. Another cosmic power trying to take him? Perfect, fine, let's just get this over with. I'm used to being a pawn anyways. From what I know, I don't have a good track record for this stuff. Or I do? Everything's fuzzy. This Midoriya finally realizing something, as he's itching away at his own skull or his hair. His hands are free. Dr. Spectre finally saying a word. Izuku Midoriya. As he says it in a booming voice, Midoriya keeping his full attention on him, as he does almost drop to his knees. As the Spectre states that, you have been through hell. I am the Spectre, the spirit of redemption, and I am here to offer you a choice. That choice will have consequences. Then again, everything does. My other choice will at least help you try and pull yourself together. With that, which option do you choose? Midoriya is looking up at him and saying that this can't be real. Who are you? I am Dr. Spectre, a god among your people. Does Midoriya just start laughing, saying that he's killed gods? He knows when he's seen one, and he is not impressed. He's killed Superman, or been responsible for it. I don't know. Apparently I've murdered quite a lot of people. I think, what was it? 7.8 trillion. That is a large number. Yes, And that was before you died. Add on another 2 million from all the carnage you've caused. Quite lovely. It's quite a lot of blood. Yes, it is human. Now, my choice, your choice, still needs to be answered. Redemption, or a way to pull yourself back together. Well, as Midoriya would just look around, and then just sit down, crossing his legs and saying that he does have questions. And he wants them answered. Who is Jiro? Kai... Kayoko Jiro. The woman you are madly in love with. Oh, so why haven't I met her before? You will meet her. In fact, they are bringing her to you. Who is? The League of Shadows. They believe that they have their own ways of dealing with you. You are Batman. What was his contingency plan? No. Use his loved ones against him. Now, wait. What was my contingency plan then? Your contingency plan was quite simple. The exact same thing. Break your will, break your love, and let yourself be drowned in fear. Shame will overtake you and consume you, driving you to do something drastic. In fact, you'd be exactly where you started your journey. Midoriya confusedly looks back down, finding himself on a rooftop, nearly falling over it. As Dr. Spectre would just bring him back. Midoriya just asking, okay, enough games. What is this? A hallucination? Delusional fantasy? Which one? Neither. I can quite assure you I am real. Yeah, I still don't believe it. Anyways. Redemption. Is that your choice? No. You say that I'm a tool for everything. Isn't that correct? That is what I said. Even in death you were still used, brought back only to become a lifeless carcass. Something without a soul. Only your purpose to be to murder, steal, and do whatever that man tells you. Midoriya getting angry, and is saying, fine. But one more thing. What happens when I put myself back together? Well, you will be complete. Now, as Midoriya just reappears back in his cell, the final words Dr. Spectre saying to him being, I have tethered you three. That being confusing. Midoriya feeling something in his heart. He feels like something just pierced it as he falls to the ground screaming. The League of Assassins covering him and holding him down. Oh, okay, is Dr. Spectre done? Anyways, with that interruption out of the way, let's go back to what I was doing. Now, back out in space, months to around a year ago. Back, well, over a year ago, whenever Coast City fell, Hal Jordan went insane. And he decided to go to Oa to try and get some revenge. Try and get anyone to pay for what happened. Someone has to. Now, after doing all this, he's flying throughout the galaxy, flying throughout the universe, trying to find anyone related or even close to Apocalypse. He has near to cosmic knowledge. There are gaps in it, but he knows who he needs to find. As he's just going straight to them, flying around. Now, he would find his target. All he had to do was head straight and keep going. As he is at the source wall, staring at it. From what he knows, Cyborg Superman, he is going to be here. He wants some power. Well, as Hal Jordan just brings his hand up, hovering it over the source wall, just thinking, he will never have it. As he just starts moving forwards, scouring the edge of the universe, directly by the source wall, until he finally does it. After what feels like days of flying, he finally runs into Cyborg Superman. As one thing happens, he annihilates him. He uses all of his power just to toy with him, showing him that he is not in control, deciding to take him down, ripping him apart over and over, only for him to try and piece himself back together. Before Hal Jordan would just throw him into the source wall. Cyborg Superman trying to pull Hal Jordan in. As he basically just smashes Cyborg Superman's face into the wall, telling him that he is not escaping. Not a single piece of your code is leaving this wall. Cyborg Superman is bringing his hand up, and grabbing Hal by his wrist, expecting that to be enough, telling him that if he is going to become part of this wall, then he is too. Hal Jordan saying that he is fully prepared for that. As Cyborg Superman watches Hal Jordan touch the source wall through his frozen hands. Hal Jordan not even beginning to get covered in his power. Looking down at his hands as Cyborg Superman does the same, in shock. Going to scream no as he starts to get covered. Hal Jordan just ripping his hand away from his, and saying that that is quite a shame. Then again, eternity would be quite lonely with you. I do not want your company. Now, for Mongol. He is going to be my greatest trophy. I will mount his head where Coast City used to be. Now, that would be where he would begin trying to find Darkseid. Darkseid gave the order, didn't he? He knows this. As he starts to make his way for Apocalypse, he doesn't care how far he has to fly. He doesn't care what lengths he has to go to. When he gets there, he is taking someone's head. Now, with that being said, for the next year and a half, he is scouring the universe and keeping Darkseid's fleets from taking over planets. Many people view this as heroic. However, only few know the truth. He is simply doing it just to get Darkseid's attention. Just to try and get Mongol's attention. Once that happens, then no one will be able to get in his way. His revenge will be complete. Now, let us cut back over to Izuku Midoriya. At least, his soul. Midoriya is currently standing in the ashes of Coast City. Exactly where he died. As he does feel a pin. Finally feeling something, and at least thinking. As he goes to leave, he walks to the edge of the city. And then, as soon as he goes to take another step, he vanishes, reappearing back at the site of his death. This being hell. He cannot leave this place. Why? He feels it connected to him, but he can't leave? That makes no sense. People haven't even tried to rebuild. People have just left this place here. Nature's tried taking back over. But even then, anything that grows here will take forever. Now, along with that, let us cut over to space. The ultraviolet power that's masquerading as Deku, it feels this weird pain. And it does at least go to grab its chest, before looking down, and seeing something move. Unsure as to what it is. That's being whenever one thing happens. He decides that he needs to find out what that was. And he does at least feel its move. He has the best range out of every Deku there is. Not stuck on a planet, stuck in space. He doesn't feel this burning sensation. In fact, it feels cold and dull. The first thing he's actually able to feel that doesn't feel constructed. As he himself begins to lead the ultraviolet lanterns, ordering them to move. They must go to Earth. Now, the ultraviolet power, before it would go to Earth, it had somewhere else. Something else has been whispering in its ear. The devil on his shoulder. But the angel on his doesn't speak a word. Now, he heads for the Phantom Galaxy, the unseen galaxy, where Umbrex used to lie. As they just begin to fly through it, him and his Lantern Corp, all of them seeing this and watching. There's nothing here. Why? This place doesn't appear on a star map. As this ultraviolet power would go to grab at its chest, thinking, was this the place I wanted to go? No, I don't feel like I'm wanted here. Like I'm needed here. What is this? Now, with that, this is whatever. He would just begin to make his way throughout this galaxy, looking at the planets, looking at anything he can find. It has to be hidden here, right? It just has to. Waving his hand and commanding everyone to look for something. There has to be something here. Everyone following his order, not of their own will, but at least listening. Since he does not try and force them, their bodies do move on their own, but if they have enough willpower, or enough rage in their heart, they can fight back. And Deku doesn't increase the amount of shame he pumps through them, meaning that he is barely tugging at the strings. With that being said, let us cut back over to Earth. Izuku Midoriya, he is re-restrained, and actually put into a chair this time. As they use restraints heavy enough to restrain anyone. They're fairly certain that even Superman couldn't break through these things. Ra's al Ghul has never had an opportunity to test them. And now is as good a time as any. Midoriya basically just strapped to a chair, unable to move. Anytime he does try to, he doesn't even, flinch. He's not even able to move his fingers. not even wiggle his toes. That is how restrained he is. As one thing does happen, Jiro wakes up in the next room, and she's at least told that she is going to be under constant supervision here. So, as she does actually look up, seeing someone, them basically telling her that she is very lucky to be alive right now. Her kind of confused, as she does at least say one thing. You are alive. And look down at your hands now. Her looking down to see them. Confused for a second as she kind of panics. Going to grab at her hands to check to see if the rings are there. Or even if they're invisible, if they've even fallen on the ground. Nothing. And yet she's perfectly fine. What did you... Oh, don't worry. Whenever we took you, we put a pacemaker in you. Then again, as she holds up her hands, showing a bit of a trigger, saying that we can blow it up at any time, so don't do anything funny. Besides, I think you're really going to appreciate what we did. The woman acting a bit more sadistic, putting Jiro very uneasy, as the woman would just state that you've gone looking for your boyfriend or your husband or whatever, right? And you can't find him. Ooh, look at that. His grave is empty. So, do you want to know a little secret? As Joe is just going to say yes, the woman almost hesitating to pull the trigger. She had her hand directly over it, and her thumb twitched. As the door opened, telling her to stop messing with the prisoner. Besides, she's going to want to see this. Now, they would just take her out. Jiro asking exactly who are they? Why, we are the League of Assassins. We are an ancient order, founded over 600 years ago, long before Quarks ever existed. In fact, things were quite simple back then, but even so, you're going to want to be prepared for this. As Ra's al Ghul would be standing directly in front of the door. In fact, he's inside. The man sliding open the eye hole or whatever, so you can look into it, and it just showing off three men standing there with swords pointed at Midoriya. As she does look up through it. The room is very dark, but even then you can still make out his face. Her basically watching Midoriya's head is leaning downwards, before he does at least look up and try and move forwards, trying to at least get out of these restraints. Basically screaming and growling like a primal animal. He needs to know what is burning him. He needs to know what is inside of his chest. Unsure as to what is going on. As Ra's al Ghul would turn around, walking closer and opening the door. As Jiro would walk in, trying to run past them and going straight for Midoriya. Midoriya basically taking his eyes off of everyone and staring straight at her for a minute. As whenever she does run forwards, a guard throws out his sword directly in front of her, telling her to stop as Midoriya tries to move forwards and just looks directly at the guard, not breaking eye contact and not blinking. Ra's al Ghul saying to let her pass. Jiro is being flooded with emotions, unsure as to what to even think. What? As she would just try and help Midoriya, undoing the thing around his mouth, as he just does one thing, looking straight at her and asking her who the hell is she? Why does he see her in his head? What? Midoriya, it's gonna be, who is Midoriya? Her just taking a step back and thinking for a minute, looking at them and asking them what have they done to him. Well, that's quite simple. He was very useful. In fact, he killed the Justice League. Jiro in shock and just looking back at him, asking him why would he do that? Why would he murder their friends? He didn't know any of them. What? Why is he like this? Well, let's see. He's been murdered, saving your life. He was thrown into the Lazarus pit, a pit which brings back the dead, and he doesn't have a soul. Along with that, he's taken on something inside of his mind that no other person has survived. Her just getting angry and turning back to Midoriya, whispering, "They used you again." Those words piercing into him, as he actually does remember that. He finally remembers something else. "I'm not going to let them use me, Bruce. If they do, then I'm not sure what I would do to them. No one can stop you from killing them, would you? Would you even be able to stop yourself? I don't know. But if it meant protecting her, then I would do anything." Midoriya finally at least calmed down, not fighting against his restraints. Rachel goes on saying, "Good. Very good. Now, I'm going to need you to listen to me very, very carefully. Now, I believe that I can leave that part off here, and I do hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for the cliffhanger ending.